The building is covered with facade elements after load-bearing structural elements such as wall columns, interfloor ceilings, stair towers, roof elements, etc. have been installed. The load-bearing structure of the building can be made of reinforced concrete, steel, or wood. The facade elements on the wooden frame are supported and hung on the load-bearing structures. Facade elements can be positioned so that the intermediate floor is between the facade elements, partially between the facade elements, or so that the facade elements are in front of the intermediate floor. In the case of a solution where the intermediate floor is between the facade elements, a wooden base beam is first attached. If the height of the ceiling fluctuates due to the tolerances of the reinforced concrete, the height of the base beam is adjusted with plastic wedges or blocks. The element is then lifted onto the base beam and fixed with screws. The upper attachment of the lower element is made through a steel beam. In the case of a solution where the upper element rests on the intermediate floor, it is fixed with a steel angle. If the height of the intermediate floor fluctuates, for example due to the tolerances of the reinforced concrete, plastic wedges or blocks are installed under the element to level the height. The lower element is attached to the steel beam with the screws from above. In the case of a solution where the facade is located in front of the intermediate floor, a steel plate threaded rod and a support bracket with nuts are installed on the intermediate floor. The lower facade element is attached from the top edge with a mounting bracket. A corresponding hole is drilled in the element's wooden beam for this purpose. The upper element is then lifted onto the threaded rod. The height and mutual placing of the elements are adjusted with adjustment nuts. A common solution is where the facade elements support each other across several floors. In this case, the facade elements are attached to the intermediate floor with steel angles. Wall elements can be designed to be either 1 story high or span multiple stories. Depending on the architectural and technical solutions, the level of completion of the elements produced in the factory may vary. The interior surface may have pre-installed plasterboard, while due to technical nuances or to prevent possible moisture damage, a solution is also used where the room-side plasterboard is installed on site after the installation of the elements. The element can be covered with various materials on the outside, such as timber boards, cement fiber board, metal cassette, or other facade covering. Technologically, joints remain between the elements, must be covered with the prescribed covering material. In the building model in the drawing, the left side shows the vertical timber boards that are installed on the element in the factory. In the part of the building on the right, the element is covered with wind barrier plasterboard in the factory, in front of which a brick facade is laid on the construction site. Before installation, element installers must familiarize themselves with the building's project documentation, including plans, views, and joints. They must also familiarize themselves with installation instructions, packing lists, work order, work safety, and other important information related to installation work. Before the start of element production, the installation sequence is agreed with the main contractor to synchronize it with other works on the construction site. Accordingly, the elements are distributed on the wooden pallet, taking into account also other nuances regarding installation. The installation of elements is based on the designed installation drawings. In addition, floor plans and facade views of the building are helpful, showing the location of elements and mounting brackets, as well as the locations of joints. The elements are delivered to the site in packages. Depending on the size of the elements, approximately 4 to 8 elements are packed together. At the site, the packages are unloaded from the truck and temporarily stored until installation. When storing elements and installation materials on the site, the installation plan is followed, which describes the permitted storage areas. The storage of materials is carried out in coordination between all subcontractors and the main contractor so that the different subcontractors do not interfere with each other, and the materials are installed as conveniently as possible. Sometimes, due to lack of space, agreements must also be made with neighboring properties to use them for storage of materials. Before installing the elements, measurements and markings must be carried out, and the locations of the mounting brackets must be determined. The markings are made according to the construction drawings. In addition to the brackets, the start and end points of the elements are also marked. After marking, mounting brackets and, if necessary, element-based beams are installed. All installation work to be carried out on site is described in the construction drawings, including taping of vapor barriers and sealing of open joints. Depending on the contract, site work may also include some internal work and additional work related to the external cladding. During the quality control of the work, it is monitored that the joints of the building's vapor barrier and wind barrier are properly sealed, and that there are no empty, uninsulated air pockets between the elements and the load-bearing structure. The use of prefabricated elements significantly shortens the time of site work and also allows for flexible logistics, thanks to which work can be carried out on a smaller construction area. In the accompanying video, we see the construction process, where the facade of a 16-story building was covered with prefabricated factory elements in 16 days. After the work is completed, the site will be inspected together with the main contractor. If necessary, a list of corrections will be drawn up. Once all work has been accepted and the necessary documentation has been submitted to the main contractor, construction drawings, certificates of covered works, certificates of materials used, construction logs, etc., the work is considered completed and a work handover and acceptance certificate is signed with the main contractor.